Taoiseach, my constituency of Cork South West and my country are facing extraordinary times. This has to be a time of great unity, as can be seen already, with the incredible human efforts by the emergency services, our medical staff and our Gardaí, our army, our community, those in community councils, community alerts, community care groups who are still delivering meals on wheels, who are ringing our elderly and vulnerable and tending to them in a caring and careful manner. And I thank every one of them for doing so. People are under huge pressure. They are worried about their health, their family's health and their friends and neighbours. They are worried about how will they pay their next utility bill. And while discussions with banks gave some clarity yesterday, massive fear still remains as to how can the ESB bill or the telephone bill be paid in their homes. This is a massive worry for many families at this time. Also, clarity will have to be given on how people will deal with their credit union loans, because banks have been clarified yesterday. Maybe the credit unions might come out and give us some more clarity, because many customers have been in contact with me and are seriously worried. Also, will repossessions continue? Will the vulture films continue to take people to the edge? This has to stop, as people need help and clarity at this time. We need a moratorium immediately for all these people. Taoiseach, I would plead with the local authorities to immediately suspend rate collection to give some hope to big or small businesses, and also clarify how they intend to deal with families who have council housing rents to pay and who can't, these who have to bridge the HAP payments and who don't have the money to do so at this time. Those who rent homes are also need to be protected at these times, and while their answers for everything can't be given today, quick action is required to ease the pressures on these people. I respect all politicians who are very much at the forefront in these times, but so many questions remain unanswered. The fishing industry is on the verge of collapse, and we as politicians must make sure that the food chain stays open. So we have to ensure that the supermarket chains will stock Irish fish and Irish meat, safe and healthy foods until this emergency ends. And what and how this happens is something each and every one of us politicians must find a mechanism to do so. Markets have been stopped abroad, so many fishermen can't do business abroad. Unfortunately, the restaurant business here and the pub business is closed, so again their produce is in there. But their produce is not being taken by the supermarkets here in this country at the present time, some of the supermarkets, and we have to intervene as a government to make sure that happens. And if some of these boats have to tie up at the pier, many of them are worth millions of euros, the banks will have to be further discussions with the banks on how they deal with these, and the same with the farmers. They are in dire trouble at this time with the price of their produce bottoming out. The closure of pubs throughout the country, West Cork, is being fully adhered to. And while many know they face ruination, they still put people's health first, something they have done down through the years. But we now see the value of the pub sector and the tourism sector, as tens of thousands of their valued employees are now unemployed. And these employers would love to pay them for a few weeks, but most of these businesses were on the verge of closure before this and can't pay them. And now I hear today that the insurers, like everybody is trying to help out here, the banks are trying to make their move, but the insurance, the publicans who they pay massive insurance to protect their businesses, will not give them any ease at this present time. And I'd ask on Alliance and FBD to reconsider that going forward. It's a very serious issue, and it will take publicans to the brink. Many of them wanted to pay the employees by the monies they saved from paying the Sky. I think it's 600 a month they're paying, or 600 a week, sorry, in some cases they're paying Sky bills, and they've sidelined that, but the Insurance Federation haven't, and the government needs to step in immediately to deal with that issue. I have great worries for our people abroad who are struggling to get home. There are over 30, some from West Cork and Cusco City in Peru at this time, and can't get home. I would like to thank the Department of Foreign Affairs who have helped me and others to reunite families in these shocking times over the past few days. Many of our student nurses have been instructed to work at the front line, but these students must be paid a respectful wage for the work they are doing for our nation, and this has to be adhered to straight away and has to be looked into. Our young people have enormous worries at this time. Social media is playing hell with them, as it is with many adults. This false information must stop, and a mechanism for our young people to be able to home educate and have clarity on how exams will be set for attending school and those who are attending schools and colleges, and those exams are a serious worry to them and have been in major contact with me in the last few days. The contribution earlier by Deputy Ryan about hardware shops staying open in a safe manner is a very well is actually a very good idea. So people can get maybe works carried out at home to keep their minds occupied, because this could drag on for quite some time. I also agree with Deputy Howland on the protection of our local radio stations like 103 FM, like Red FM in Cork. Give honest, clear information about the virus and how the progress of the virus and the dangers of it and the protection that they give to us. This state will have to step in to save these local stations and who may not be able to stay open at this time. I would like to sincerely thank those in our hospitals throughout our country. Hospitals like CUH, our Bantry General Hospital and our community hospital. But for those hospitals, especially Bantry, I think at this time, I would shudder to fear how we would cope with the medical crisis that we have right now. I would like to plead with everyone to strictly, at this stage, adhere to the guidelines that have been given to them over the last number of weeks. We have an incredible crisis in our country, and I would plead for people to self-isolate as much as possible, keep on their own as much as possible, and try and listen to the warnings that have been given to them. We need to try and stop the spread of this. We're doing everything we can in my own constituency, Carson West, and I know the nation is, and I appreciate the political effort that's been made right across the board at this time, and I appreciate that people would adhere to the guidelines that are being given to them strictly.